Okay, good evening YouTube and welcome to episode 23 of the FPL family. My name is Lee, this is Sam, and we are coming off the back of Game Week 13. So this is going to be a Game Week 13 review, reaction video, as well as a Game Week 14 preview video. And the reason we're going to do that is because we've just obviously had Game Week 13 and that's just finished. We've just finished watching the City game. Where Huddersfield were incredibly unlucky not to get anything out of that game, although they did get battered. They were quite resilient for some while.
Lucky results, I think, today.
Well, yes, we'll come to those in a second. But also, the upcoming game week 14, starts, I think, on Tuesday. So we've got a bunch of fixtures Tuesday, a bunch of fixtures Wednesday, and it's all coming thick and fast. So we've got no time to do multiple videos this week. This is just going to be one video.
You say that, but we will be doing another video this week because we'll be doing a review and a preview of Game Week.
You're quite right. You're quite right. All right, so let's put it another way. We didn't have time to do any additional videos.
Correct.
This one's going to be, let's call it a bumper edition. Let's call it FPL Family Plus
bonus
or something.
Points.
FPL Family, the bonus points. It's a bit like the Great British Bake Off, an extra slice, isn't it?
Yeah.
It could be a bit like that. Oh, here we go. We've already started waffling. Right. Okay, so let's crack on because we've got so much to discuss from the game week we've just seen and from the upcoming game week. For me, there personally is only one place to start, and that is with Mr. Salomon Rondon.
I like the fact that you want to start with this before we've even discussed how well we've done in our own teams. You want to start with Rondon?
We'll get to that. We've got to start with Salomon Rondon. For you guys that have been watching us since the beginning, Sam had Salomon Rondon in her pre-Game Week 1 draft, and the first ever FPL video that we ever did. Go back and watch it on our channel. You had Rondon in your team. I was caning you. In the end, you took him out. It's taken him 13 weeks. But he's arrived, Mr.
And what
Rondon.
when has he arrived?
He's arrived at Wembley. Would you believe he's arrived at Spurs?
I said in the last vlog, you wait, watch Rondon turn up. What happens? 4th minute.
Same thing happened. I said, you'd batter them.
First Venezuelan ever to score at Wembley, for goodness sake.
I saw that tweet. He was very happy with himself, wasn't he?
Very proud of himself.
The first Venezuelan ever to score at Wembley.
I'm not very proud of him.
Yeah, he was happy with
I'm
that.
very annoyed.
And to be fair, I mean, well, let's start there then. We'll come to our teams in a second. Let's do the Spurs game. Or we should do our team, shouldn't we? Go on, what did you get on? How did you get on in the game week? Let's do that first.
Well, the game week hasn't fully updated, so I don't know, but I imagine I'll be sort of bang average or thereabouts. I've got 43. Some just disappointing ones. Otamendi own goal, annoying.
Yeah, stinker that, isn't it?
Yeah. Who else did I have that did nothing? Silva did nothing. Lost my Burnley clean sheet in the 90-odd minute.
I think so did everyone,
so did
everybody.
Yeah. Alonso, nothing for him this week.
But looks good actually, Alonso.
Yeah.
We'll come to him in a minute, yeah.
So there was just there's a lot of frustration for me this week, but actually I'm still fairly happy with my team as a whole.
Who's your star man? Who's your key players?
Kane, really, I suppose.
Kane, Salah as well coming through,
Salah
didn't he?
came in again. Richarlison came in again.
Yeah, he's ticking him over, isn't he, Richarlison?
Yeah, so I'm fairly comfortable. I've already made my 2 transfers, made them last night, so we'll come to that in a little while.
Very good.
But yeah, I'm 43, I'm alright-ish with that.
Alright, okay. Well,
I'm a bit annoyed that Firmino didn't play. That annoyed me.
That's a bit annoying, yeah, that's a bit annoying.
Otherwise,
with our fixtures coming up, I'd be tempted potentially to keep, given what we've got on the fixture ticker, but, you know, let's see, because he's not exactly banging them in, is he? He needs a couple of good game weeks.
Well, he needs to play for a start.
Yeah, it's very right, yeah, and we've already, I think we've seen now that actually Klopp is not afraid to rotate Firmino and Mane. Maybe there's a rest for Salah coming as well. Let's see. So I actually ended up with 62. I was pretty happy with that. It's a decent score.
You're jammy.
I don't know if it was jammy. I mean,
off the bench, 9, jammy.
Yeah, but listen, I played Phil Jones at the back, given that, you know, he's got a bit of history there, Mourinho for saying that his players are injured and then playing them. And I thought, well, you know, they're at home. Clearly there's a clean sheet to be had there, which was absolutely the case. So I thought I'd put Jones in. And I thought if he doesn't play, well, you know, Norton comes in. I wasn't expecting them to keep a clean sheet, actually.
Let them get 3 bonus points.
Yeah, so I was really pleased to see that. So I fancied Bournemouth to get something from that game. I think people were going on to Callum Wilson, rightly so, on the back of his hat-trick. And in the end, it was a bit of a, you know, it's a dogged, you know, determined sort of display from Swansea, and they ground out a point. So for him to get 6 points, I was happy with that. And then you told me, you know, the provisional bonus points was 3. I was like, happy days. 9 off the bench. So 62 for me, pretty happy with that. Salah's coming in. Richarlison's come in. Nothing for Lukaku again. That's a big problem for me.
Has he gone bye-byes yet?
We'll come to that. Nothing for Eriksen again. And, you know, I'm a bit of a... I don't know, maybe this is not the right way to play FPL, but I like getting in good players. I like watching good players. I like the Ericssons and the Hazards and the KDBs. And it was a real bind to get rid of Ericsson.
You have got rid of him?
I've got rid of Ericsson, yeah. We'll come to that in a sec. It was a real bind to get rid of him because he did at the beginning when I first had him. Yeah, I know. I feel like I'm covered with Kane, but so and he got me some great points, Ericsson. But 5 blanks, I just can't deal with that anymore.
Okay, fair enough.
And I'm also looking potentially at Son now as a Spurs option.
Well, I think he's definitely one to talk about when we get to that.
I think he's starting to look good in that team and score some goals and on the radar, etc. So 62, happy with that. Excuse me. Before we get into the games, and we do need to get into the games quickly, and I want to start with Rondon. A quick shout out to you because Lanzini, jammy pick, happy days.
I was thinking, what are you going to shout out to me for?
No,
Lanzini,
it's a great shout. It was a great shout, especially on the last vlog. I said to you, you said Lanzini. I was like, blimey, that's real out there differential stuff. But actually, not only got the assist for the West Ham goal on Friday night, 2 bonus points. Look very good. Yeah. Really, really good. And
so like I said to you, the underlying stats for him,
right,
building up to that game, if anybody was going to show up for West Ham, it was going to be him. And I sat here watching that game and everything was going through him. All of the set pieces, everything that was looking promising for West Ham through Lanzini. And it paid off, yeah.
Look good, he's on
7
set pieces, set pieces.
So I was happy with that for a jammy pick. Got to top it now this week.
Very good jammy pick. And actually, as a case, and I don't know if we can do this, but as a case for jammy picking him again this week, because they've got to play Everton. And frankly, anyone that's playing Everton right now, I think is a good shout.
Well, I'm going to stick with West Ham. We'll get to my jammy pick at the end, but I am having another West Ham player this week because Everton are so terrible. But yeah, Lanzini, I think...
stick him on the radar, I think. Right?
Yeah, absolutely, stay on the radar.
Right,
And I actually think he's a decent pick at the moment, the way he's driving the West Ham change. Okay.
So let's talk about Mr. Rondon then. What happened at Wembley? And let's be brief, because we have to be. And then we'll talk, as we're going through, let's talk about Spurs West Brom, but let's also talk about what's coming up next for Spurs and West Brom in the week.
Fine. What happened? We were awful.
Didn't really come out the blocks, did you? And West Brom really did.
No, and it's starting to become a habit with Spurs. Champions League hangovers are starting to become a real thing for us. The game after, it was the same with Swansea. After the Champions League, it's becoming a real issue. It needs dealing with. I was really disappointed, very unhappy. I mean, the Rondon thing annoyed me even more. But so it is what it is.
I know we're always tongue-in-cheek about Rondon because he's one of our favourite players here at FPL Family, just because of what happened when we first started out these vlogs. But do you think he becomes an option now? Because next up for West Brom is Newcastle, who are in by their own admission having they're having a bit of a sticky patch and all, aren't they, Newcastle? So is Rondon an option? I mean, far be it from me to back a West Brom player, given they're not exactly flying.
I think, look, let's stick Rondon on the radar. Let's have him there.
Rondon on the radar,
let's pop him on the radar.
It's only taken 13 weeks, but we've got him on the radar. Get in there.
Let's pop him on the radar. And I think for me, I know that they're playing Newcastle next, but for me, I don't think West Ham assets are that viable an option.
West Brom assets.
Sorry, what did I say?
You said West Ham.
Oh no, West Brom. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think West Brom assets potentially. I suppose when they've got a new manager, if that gets settled. Now that might settle before Wednesday night's game.
Well, their next 2 games: Newcastle at home, Palace at home, Swansea away. That don't look too bad.
No, it doesn't look too bad. But I'm not sure. I think if I was going to have anyone from West Brom, it would be Rondon. But yeah, with no manager and stuff, I'm still not confident. I think it's like I said in the last vlog, I'm always wary of playing a team who've just sacked their manager. You do get a reaction from players. We certainly saw that from West Brom against us this week.
All right.
In terms of Newcastle, saw who they're. Do you want to talk about them now?
Well, yeah. So I'm not sure how this vlog's going to go, is it? Because I guess we need to kind of stick on the Spurs and West Brom game that's just happened. But equally, I'm kind of happy to go off into Newcastle, Watford, if that's a nice segue. Let's do that. Let's just freestyle it. Let's bounce around. This could go on forever. I don't know how long this vlog's going to go on for. But let's.
So where are we going? Do you want to do Spurs or Newcastle?
Let's segue into that. So you've got West Brom and Newcastle coming up as the game. Okay. Newcastle have just been smashed at home 3-0 by Watford. And I'll tell you what, I watched it on Match Today. That could have been 7-0. It could have been a cricket score. That Newcastle were terrible. Watford were good, given their dues. And again, we go back to the Silver comment, which is, I like what he's doing there. I think Richarlison got a goal and an assist.
Got an
just
assist.
A goal.
Just an assist.
Just an assist. Okay. So Richarlison looking good again. Happy to keep, I think, for now.
So this is interesting, right, for me. So I've had a lot of conversations with people, both in the comments on our YouTube channel as well as over on Instagram, about Richarlison. A lot of people saying they're going to get off of him and move over to Hazard. Now, totally, if they've got money in the bank or they're making 2 transfers this week.
You need a hell of a lot of money in the bank to do that.
Yeah, 2.5 or something, isn't it? I think.
No,
maybe
Hazard
even
is
more.
10.5 and Richarlison's about 6.5.
Well,
So you need 3 or 4, I think.
So however they're doing it, a lot of people are talking about getting off Richarlison and somehow they're making way for Hazard.
Downgraded Lukaku, I guarantee.
Potentially, yeah. Now, for me, that's a really interesting one because I obviously had my 2 free transfers this week, and Watford's fixtures aren't. We talked about this before. They're quite hit and miss over the next few weeks. But then I don't know. I just think Richarlison's looking really decent. So for me, it wasn't. I didn't even think about getting him out. He'll be staying put for now. I think he's a really good fantasy player.
Well, I think we had him about 4 weeks ago. We said we're going to get him. They've got 4 nice fixtures. Let's see how he gets on. And we've got to the end of those 4 fixtures now. So they're playing Man United, then Spurs, then Burnley away. So there's 3 really tough fixtures there. So there is a case for getting off him. And people that are doing it, I can understand that.
I can too.
And if you're looking to do it to get to Hazard, that I can understand that absolutely. I kind of like him. He's kept the points ticking over in these few game weeks. He does get in dangerous positions. He's not really, in those 4 weeks, he's not really gone, bang, I'm here and I'm amazing, and he's got double figure hauls and stuff. But then he's a 6'5", he's a 6'5"-ish, 7-ish player. So
he's ticking over.
What more do you want for that sort of player? He's in that sort of
so.
Pascal Gross bracket, and
I don't know.
I think he's all right.
I'm fairly happy to stick. I mean, they got United coming up next, but it's at home, and Watford.
It's a tough game for United.
Absolutely, it's not an easy place to go. Then they've got us, but let's be honest, we're not watertight by any stretch at the moment, so he can get at us. So I'm going to be sticking with Richarlison for now. The other one coming out of Watford, I guess we've got to talk about is it Ziegler?
Yeah, the guy he was playing kind of left wing with the face mask and stuff. Yeah, 2 assists. Looked incredibly attacking, actually.
Cheap ads. I think he's 4.4.
Yeah, and classified as a defender.
Yeah.
Right, so a fullback. Rampaging down that right wing. I think that's 2 games that he's played in a row now. I want to say 2 clean sheets. Did Watford get a clean sheet last week? I think they did. So I think it's 2 clean sheets and an assist, I think, in this game. So do you know what? He looks like a pretty good option. How do you say his name again?
Don't ask me. I think it's Ziegler.
Ziegler.
Well, it begins with a Z, so I'm presuming
Let's have a look. Yeah. Ziegler, yeah. In actual fact, in the Newcastle game, 2 assists.
Yeah, 2 assists.
2 assists. Got booked as well, but 2 assists, 3 bonus points, and a clean sheet. I mean, that is proper jammy pick stroke radar territory.
Well, he can't be a jammy pick because he's done stuff now, so he rules out of the jammy pick category.
It's too obvious a choice.
Too obvious. Yeah. But yes, definitely going on the radar. I think one to watch. My only niggle is what we've just talked about. Watford's fixtures are a bit hit and miss coming up, but he's definitely one to watch. Defender playing out of position is always a useful fantasy asset, so something to watch there.
Okay, so on the back of that game as well, Newcastle, I think ignore for now.
Well,
I think ignore for now.
You look at the form. Newcastle they're looking terrible. The only player that you may even consider based on form is Gale, and I think you'll be really struggling with that.
I think Newcastle ignore for now, totally. And just to backtrack, West Brom possibly having a look at Rondon. He says tongue in cheek potentially, although they've got some nice fixtures.
Okay, I think that's it really
Watford,
for them too.
Yeah,
right, let's talk about Spurs then. Let's finish the other side of that fixture. So Spurs, I think, interesting ones to watch. I think that Trippier becomes a good fancy asset again now.
Surely just going to rotate him with Aurier.
I'm not sure now because when has he been rotated? I mean, it is coming up to rotation season, I grant you, but 3 bonus points and you didn't keep a clean sheet. It's got to be worth a consideration.
But look, we've said this. This is Christmas coming up. You know what'll happen. You bring Trippier in at 5, whatever he is, which is a decent investment for a defender. And he'll rest him and rotate him. He loves to do that, Posh.
Maybe. I think the other one that I'm really thinking about and is definitely on the radar this week is Son. At 7.9, he is a decent option in the midfield. He gives you a counter to people like Pogba and co in that bracket. He seems to be playing.
You think he's
regularly.
You think he's He's competing for a space in people's teams with Pogba.
In terms of the price bracket I'm talking about. So Pogba's at 8 and Sonny's at 7.9.
I don't see many people going for Son and a lot of people going for Pogba. But
so he's come into that stage that only 1.6% of teams own Son. So he is a real differential. So potentially
that just shows you what FPL's about, though, doesn't it? Because it's a global game. We said this before. People will flock to Pogba because he's the big name. He's on the MTV AMAs and all that nonsense, and he plays for United. Whereas Son, like you say, similar sort of price, if not a little bit cheaper. Getting the goals. And actually, if you look at Spurs fixtures going forward,
for the next 11, really, apart from Man City.
The next 11.
Yeah. So if you look at Spurs' fixtures,
really,
yeah. So I'll tell you them.
Are you sort of in Chelsea territory for really nice fixtures?
So here we go. So
don't read them all out, but is it
right? I'll just quickly. So we've got Leicester coming up on Tuesday, which is not an easy game, but fine. Then we've got Watford, Stoke, Brighton, City, which is hard.
Yeah.
Burnley, Southampton, West Ham, Swansea, Everton, Southampton.
Really?
So they're not tough fixtures.
Good Lord.
They're fixtures we should be winning. Then they get really tough because then we get United and Chelsea and Arsenal or something.
Yeah, but feasibly, it's
but for the next
City
11
away
games,
is the only hard one.
Absolutely. So for the next 11 games, bar Man City, they're games where, as a Spurs fan, we should win them. As a fantasy manager, there should be huge points for the likes of Kane, Son. I also want to put Ali on the radar this week. He's started to pop up again.
Okay.
And he's a bit cheaper now. I think, Son and
So am I
Ali...
mad getting rid of Eriksen?
Well...
Because I'm thinking about it.
If I had Eriksen, I'd be frustrated. I'd be annoyed. But I'd stick for now because our fixtures are looking good.
Okay. I don't think I am going to, by the way, but okay.
Sounds like you already haven't. Okay, so that's Spurs for you. Moving on to our fixture on Tuesday night then, we're playing Leicester.
Yeah, so what did you make of the Leicester and West Ham game on Friday night?
Right, so as I predicted, was expecting Lanzini to do something for West Ham.
Show off.
You
were loving it as well.
I was loving it.
I didn't watch the first half because I was out, but I come in at half time and you were like, oh, Lanzini's playing really well. I was like, why do I care? You were like, oh, he's Jamie Pick. I was like, oh, okay, good. Yeah. Lanzini.
Yeah.
Actually did really well.
Yeah, I think So in terms of Leicester then, let's talk about them for a minute. I think... Is there any value in Albrighton? Let's talk about him.
No, I mean, well, not for me. I mean, he's popped
cheap.
up with a goal, fair enough. He's cheap, but he's not showing much. I mean, I'm not sure about Leicester. I'm not going there just yet.
Better at home than they are away, I think.
Yeah, I think they are. But for me, Vardy still, he just looks a bit isolated. And I think he's not really getting the support and the service that he was earlier in the season. Mahrez has kind of dipped a little bit, a bit. And Damari Gray looked good a couple of weeks ago. I'm just cautiously watching. Vardy, if you're going to get anyone, you're probably going to get him.
Okay.
I don't think you're going to back their defence right now. They've got Spurs. Fixtures look nice after that. Then it's Burnley at home, Newcastle, Southampton, Crystal Palace. So in the short term, after the Spurs game, actually doesn't look too bad. But the way that I'm changing the dynamic of my team, I'm looking at now a 3-5-2. I'm looking at Vardy potentially as one of my big two then. And is he going to take the place of either Kane or my other big one that's now going to be Morata probably? I'm unlikely to put him in instead of one of those two, frankly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, watch him brief.
For Vardy, you want to stick him on the radar?
Well, it's your radar.
I don't want to stick him on the radar then. Moving on.
I was going to say maybe with the fixtures, but it seems like a bit of an obvious pick for the radar. So leave him off for now.
Okay, so that's Spurs and Leicester covered. Let's go to who did Leicester play this week then? Let's go there.
Well, Leicester played West Ham, and West Ham's upcoming game is against Everton. So that's a kind of a nice segue, isn't it? Because the West Ham team, I think they played pretty well against Leicester, but I think that even if they put in half of that sort of performance against Everton, they'll have enough to beat them. I honestly don't know what is going on at Everton Football Club right now. I mean, we sat here and recorded the last vlog and they were losing to Atalanta 1-0 in the Europa League. We finished
in an empty ground,
in an empty ground, and we finished the vlog and it was 5-1, and I just couldn't get my head around that result. Fast forward a couple of days and here we are, we're sitting here talking about Everton. What was the score?
And I couldn't fathom this because they scored at the perfect moment to equalise just before half-time. So you're going in on the back of a Sigurdsson goal.
A really good goal, by the way, Siggy's goal.
So you're going off the back of a decent goal into half-time. That should be the momentum that you need to go and either play out the draw if you want to do that, or ideally go and finish the game.
Yeah.
Not lose 4-1.
And Southampton, I mean, it's at some fact, and it's a good result for Southampton. Very
Absolutely.
good result. And we sat here
Take
last
nothing
week
away from
saying that
Southampton at all.
Pellegrino,
He needed that.
He needed to win, and I think I sat here and said I fancied them to win because they just have to win, and Everton are really bad. But Saints fans will forgive me for saying no one should be losing to Southampton 4-1 right now,
I agree.
home or
Absolutely.
away. I mean, they're not exactly firing on all cylinders themselves. Interestingly, he decides to play Charlie Austin from the
And what
start,
happens?
and he pops up with 2 goals. So there's Charlie Austin saying, hello. I'm the answer to all of your problems. I don't know whether we now put any Southampton assets, indeed even Charlie Austin, on the radar, and I say that because they got to go to Man City next, and they're away at Bournemouth, home to Arsenal, home to Leicester, away to Chelsea.
Well, I think...
Not easy for Southampton going forward.
No, so I think, part of the reason that I decided to get off Bertrand, who, by the way, got 2 assists today...
oh, no! Did he? What
and
a
a bonus
mare.
point.
What a mare. And if it wasn't for the Siggy Worldie, he'd have got he'd have been up in the 12s and 13s.
Yeah, don't.
Who did you get in for him?
Charlie Daniels, but who got a clean sheet, so, swings and roundabouts, but hey-ho. It is what it is.
It's better than done anything for ages.
No, exactly. But, I mean, part of the reason I got off him was the fixtures moving forward.
Totally.
So for me with Southampton, it's a watching brief, like we've talked about. The likes of Austin, he can go on the radar, absolutely. He's one to watch over the next few weeks to see how Southampton play moving forward. I know. Play moving forward,
Right.
and to see whether this result that they've got, which should be, hopefully for Southampton and their fans, a spark in the right direction. It shows a bit of oomph, a bit of character to come back from, because they weren't. Position for them.
I'm actually not with you on that. I think if anything, it shows you just how terrible Everton are. And if you look at Unsworth's comments afterwards, did you hear what he was saying afterwards? It was almost like the senior management at a high level in this club need to sort this out. He's basically saying, please fire me and get in a new manager. That's what he's saying, isn't it? That's what he's saying. He's saying, and if you're a player in that dressing room, the players are looking at Unsworth and going, well, you ain't the manager next week, or maybe in a couple of weeks. So am I going to play for you? Well, I'm not.
He's not the manager. He's just there.
And the players aren't playing for him, I don't think.
But I think from a Southampton point of view, and Pellegrino's going to be going into his players and going, look what you've done. As a team, leave Everton and their terribleness aside for a minute.
Yeah, okay.
That should give Southampton a little bit of a momentum, a bit of a spark moving forward. Right. Everton, I don't know what's going to happen with them.
Well, listen, I know there's a few Southampton fans that watch these vlogs. They'll be very happy with you saying that, and they won't be happy with me and my comments there. But it's
about time I said something nice about Southampton, though.
Well, listen, they've got to go to the Etihad next, so let's see where we are Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay.
And that's a nice segue. So let's talk about the Man City game that we've just watched. So they've got to play Southampton at the Etihad. I'm looking to hold on to my Man City player. I'm looking to hold on to Jesus.
Are you? Even though, I mean, because I
right.
knew you were really annoyed when he wasn't starting, but he did get you an assist today.
So this is, again, it's the Pep lottery, isn't it? And even if they're on the bench, they can still get points, as we've seen.
Yeah.
Again, Sterling. Again, we say it every week, and it's so hard, isn't it? Because Sané he started today, looked really good. It was on he had a direct free kick that rattled the crossbar, and if that goes in, all the Sané owners, and there's a lot of Sané captainers, they're all going, they're happy days. In the end, it wasn't him, it was Sterling. And actually, the second goal, the winner, I think Jesus, struck it, hit the keeper, hit Sterling's knee, and it kind of looped in, really lucky. So, can you say that Sané was a bit unlucky and Sterling was a bit lucky? I think you can. Otamendi, very unlucky for it to come off his shoulder.
I was so cross.
Jesus doesn't start but comes on and gets an assist. Aguero gets a penalty. It's like, how do you predict where these points are going to come from? You just can't. It's impossible.
We've said this time and time again, that there are other clubs at the moment that you can predict where those points are going to go fairly accurately. Yeah. You just can't at City. So
the fact that Jesus didn't start, I'm now looking at that saying, well, he's probably got a start against Southampton, and against Southampton, I fancy him at home.
Yeah,
so
sure.
He might even be captain material for me, right? I mean,
it's such a lottery, isn't it? It really is a lottery. I don't know what to say about them other than if you want to play Russian roulette, then go for it.
The one thing I will say is, a lot of people saying Huddersfield were unlucky. That is true, and I tweeted this earlier. There was a stat that flashed up on the screen about 3/4 of the way through the second half. And it said, second half, successful passes completed. Man City, 285. Huddersfield, 16. And that tells you everything you need to know. And the possession stats were 80-20. I mean, it was one-way traffic. And even though Otamendi got the own goal just, like you say, almost like at a perfect time before half-time, all that did was you could just see the Man City players walking off in a huff. And you just felt like, they just kind of poked them and gone, we've scored against you.
Real Madrid,
and City just come back out. And Sterling was just like, he could have got a penalty just before he won the actual penalty. And you just got a feeling they were going to go and blitz them. And they did blitz them without getting all the goals, but they did. It could have been more than it was.
I just think
fair play to Huddersfield, though.
In terms of Man City, I mean, effectively they could all be on the radar, couldn't they? Off the back of this week, I suppose Sterling has to go on there, but Sterling is such a rotation risk, as we've seen in the last few weeks that it worries me.
He could drop him for Southampton, so he put him on the radar and he drops him.
Absolutely. So feasibly. I think we're just going to leave City off for now. I think I think if we, given who they're playing, Company should be on the radar for City as an alternative to Otamendi, because Company is now, I think, now he's back and fit. And
how is he a better option than Otamendi?
Well, some people haven't got Otamendi, is all I'm saying. So if you haven't got City coverage, then I've got Otamendi, so I won't be getting Company. You don't have City defenders. Company's an option for you.
If I was getting one, though, I'd still got Otamendi. Okay. I looked at him today, and all right, the own goal's unlucky, but before that, he had a shot where it flew over the bar, but he hit it so sweetly, and he was getting forward. Company not getting forward, hasn't got the pace. I mean, Otamendi's not exactly blessed with pace, but Company could easily have scored an own goal in that first half. I don't know if you saw it. It was a header, and he shut his eyes as it hit him, which is shocking defending. And
and you saw the look of panic, didn't you, when he opened his eyes?
So that easily could have been an OG. So I'm definitely not flocking to Company. I mean, if you want to put him on the radar,
I'm not saying we should flock to him. I'm just saying that, generally City are fairly good defensively. Otamendi's been a really good defensive asset for me so far this season. If you haven't got him and you want somewhat of a differential in terms of City coverage, Company could be a good one. That's what I'm saying.
So the game to look forward to. So Man City have got Southampton, but in a couple of weeks' time, it's the Manchester derby, City versus Man United.
Yeah, derby day, isn't it? That one.
Derby day, because I think Liverpool got Everton on the same game week. It's game week 16 in a couple of weeks. Talk to me about Manchester United, because I haven't seen the highlights. I don't know whether they were
Man
lucky and got a dunk-own goal, or whether it was they rinsed them and should have had more. I don't know if you've seen it.
All I know is that I think Mourinho will be really conflicted during that game, because part of him will want to just park a bus, take a point, and like he did against Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs. But the Man United fans will not allow that, surely. It's a derby. You don't go to a derby to get a point. You go to win the derby.
But the game that they've just played, the 1-0, I mean, I think Ashley Young was he tweeted that, I think he tweeted something like, come on, artificial Premier League.
From what I've read,
I haven't scored for ages, can I have the goal? I think it's gone down as a dunk-own goal.
It has gone down as a dunk-own goal, yeah. I think from what I've read about that game, and I haven't seen the highlights because we were out, Brighton were very unlucky in that game.
Yeah.
They were unlucky to concede.
3 bonus points for Gross.
Yeah, and that tells you what you need to know, I think. The fact that the bonus points went to, I've got it written down, Gross, Valencia and Lindelof. So
but how good is Gross?
I know.
If they can lose that game and he gets 3 bonus points, how good is that? I mean, that just shows you what a BAPS magnet this guy is. We've got to be looking at Gross. I mean, I've had a look at it, and all right, I want to get Chelsea players in, as we'll discuss later on. But, Richarlison's fixtures tightening up, Richarlison to Gross to save a bit of money.
And actually, Brighton are playing Palace, who are on the up, but they're still defeatable, particularly away from home. Brighton looking decent at home at the moment.
So Brighton versus Palace is Tuesday?
It's Tuesday night.
Tuesday, okay. So how are you seeing that game?
Well, I think Brighton will go into that game feeling a bit peeved about what happened against United. I think they were very unlucky. Gross is looking, as you say, really good. I also want Knockaert on the radar this week.
Knockaert? We put him on the radar before.
We have had him on the radar. His ICT threat, creativity threat, and whatever the other one is very positive. He's moving in the right directions for me. He's looking like the statistics were for Lanzini last week. So I think he's one to have a little look at. So he's going on the radar.
Versus Palace,
but
though.
Versus Palace.
Palace played well, didn't they? I mean, the last-minute goal from Sakho, which I loved seeing that, by the way, because I still think it's a mistake that Liverpool sold Sakho. There was something there between him and Klopp, which let's not go into now, but there was a time when he was clearly our best defender. I think and he's a great character, I think, Sakho. And he just popped up, he was just there, he swung his right boot, he couldn't believe it just fell to him. And I want to talk about Loftus-Cheek.
Do you want to put him on the radar just because it meant you happy?
What, Sacco? No, I don't want to put Sacco on the radar. No. But if he's not already, if he's not on enough people's radars, we should definitely be putting Loftus-Cheek on.
Well, Loftus-Cheek is on the radar this week, definitely. I think
what value? 4.5 attacking midfielder in a Palace team that previously the fixtures were tough, they were rubbish. Roy's got them. He's got them working. They've gone back to basics.
Not
and they
afraid
look
to
all right.
make some tough decisions either this week. Hodgson dropped a few.
He dropped Scott Dann, didn't he, as well? Yeah, okay.
Made some tough decisions and paid off for him this week. And
just. I mean, last minute, wasn't it? But
but I think this could be a really interesting game, Brighton and Palace. Lots of potential there with Gross and Knockaert. On the flip of that, you've got Loftus-Cheek, Zaha and Townsend even this week looking good. So it could be a really interesting game. I can't see it being 0-0. I don't think Brighton will keep a clean sheet. I think Palace will score. I think it could be a really interesting game. I'm not quite sure which way I see it going, to be honest.
I'm also interested to see whether Benteke is coming back, because Benteke, I think, came off the bench that Palace game. So he's obviously starting to come back to fitness. He's a key player if they can get him back and fit and firing. But it's the firing piece of that, which is obviously the caveat, right? Because even though he was fit at the beginning of the season, he was well off it, well off it, and didn't look good at all. Maybe he was carrying a niggle that may have sorted itself out now. I hope for Palace's sake and for Roy's sake, Roy Hodgson's sake, they can get him back and firing, because he will be a big asset for them. Does that devalue Wilf Zaha as an FPL asset, in your opinion? Because he's, I guess, going to be pushed back out wide.
I don't think so, because I actually think that's where Zaha traditionally...
That's where he tends to flourish,
as a fantasy asset, has been decent.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So, yes, it potentially means that he's no longer... the main man. He's no longer playing up front. But I actually think that historically his fantasy points were coming when he was out wide. So maybe actually it makes him more valuable as a fantasy asset. We'll wait and see.
So
Watching brief, I think.
I'm looking at Palace's fixtures and looking at Brighton away, West Brom away, Bournemouth at home, Watford at home, Leicester away. That's looking pretty good. So if I was you, I'd be looking at maybe a Benteke or a Rueben Loftus-Cheek on the radar. Certainly Loftus-Cheek. I mean, at 4.5. That kid is great value.
Well, I think coming out of that game, like I say, I want Gross on the radar, I want Knockaert on the radar, I want Loftus-Cheek on the radar. I think Benteke should be on the radar. Zaha should be on the radar. There's loads of them. All right. So that's a big game.
Are we going to put? Is there space on the radar for these guys?
Yeah, just make them small. They'll be fine.
Have we just put 4 Palace players on the radar? This is outrageous.
No, I think we've done 3. Well, not I've done 4. Okay. So let's talk about who Palace's game this week then, because obviously they played Stoke this week. So
shout out for Shaqiri again.
Absolutely.
Shaqiri popping up with another one.
And Shawcross, who we've had on the radar, popping up with the assist for that goal.
So
I think
Shawcross with the assist.
Yeah.
Did you see his miss though? Did you see the Shawcross miss? Oh my god! It's the miss of the millennium. It's obviously his defensive instincts have taken over, because I don't know who's looped it over. Someone's looped it over, and he's back stick. All he's got to do is throw his head on it or anything. He's just got to shoulder it in anything. But he's somehow defensively clears it off the line. It's probably, if he leaves it, it's possibly going in. It's unbelievable. And somehow he's cleared it off the line when he should have scored. Unbelievable miss.
But the likes of Shaqiri. Well, what can you say about him? He constantly ticks over the points. Don't lose a game, yet he still manages to get points.
So I haven't looked at his price, but I think he's in the same sort of bracket as Choupo-Moting.
He is, yes.
And Choupo-Moting is a big favourite in FPL. So are people overlooking Shaqiri because they've got Choupo-Moting? And is that right or wrong in your opinion?
Well, I don't think you'd want both.
No.
So if you didn't have either... I mean, at the moment, for me, if I was going to go with one of them, I'd go Shaqiri over Choupo-Moting.
I think you would. Choupo-Moting, not a bad pick, right? But, Shaqiri just seems to be popping up with these goals. And let's not forget, let's go rewind a few years. Shaqiri was in my opinion, one of the top players in Europe, and it never really worked out for him in some of his other clubs, and he put on a bit of weight and a bad injury record. But, get him fit and firing.
Well, he's going on the radar this week, I think. He needs to be there.
Stoke's fixtures up and coming. Liverpool, Swansea, Spurs, Burnley, West Ham.
And I say this to you in the nicest way I can, most loving way I can. They're playing Liverpool this week. Liverpool away from home, defensively, terrible. So, easily could be Shaqiri popping up with a goal. Sorry, Liverpool fans. Sorry.
All right. Well, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, we've got Liverpool have got some tricky games coming up. Stoke away and then Brighton away. I mean, that's two actually quite tricky games. So.
One Liverpool player that I do want to put on the radar, and you will laugh, is I want to put Oxlade-Chamberlain on the radar this week.
Oh,
no,
what?
I do, because
if
you look, so he seems to
because he got some dodgy toe end assist for Salah.
No, but you start looking at the last few games.
FPL red flags everywhere. It's a rotation risk. He's rubbish.
No, listen. So he's had a couple of game weeks of late where he's starting to be. I actually think that you look better when he plays.
Oh my god! Really?
Yeah, gives a bit of balance to your team.
I
knew it was going to
completely disagree.
So I'm putting Oxlade-Chamberlain on the radar this week. Look, if you can have Moreno on the radar, I can have Oxlade-Chamberlain on the radar.
Who said anything about Moreno on the radar? Is he still on there, is he?
Well, you had him on there for the last few weeks. Babbling on about getting him instead of Charlie Daniels. So I'm putting Oxlade-Chamberlain on the radar this week. He's one to watch.
Okay, Oxlade-Chamberlain on the radar.
But I think Stoke away will be a hard game for you.
It's a very hard game. I mean, hopefully they're going to be, down in the dumps after losing that game or at the last minute against Palace. But let's look at the Liverpool-Chelsea game that's just happened. We're not exactly going to be ecstatic the way that game's ended.
Okay, let's go there because that's where we were going anyway next.
Yeah,
talk about it.
Yeah, so for me, I obviously clearly watched the game. It's a game of two players, really, in my opinion. So every time Hazard got the ball, we looked petrified. And every time Salah got on the ball, they looked petrified. And it was those two players, really, that were going to make the difference. And in the end, I think it was. I mean, Salah made the difference again. I mean, if you're an FPL manager and you're not on Salah yet, and you look at the Liverpool fixtures coming up, I think you've got to have him. And I had a Twitter conversation that said, well, Klopp has shown that he's not afraid to rotate Firmino and Mane because he's benched them this week. So surely Salah's going to get a rest against Stoke. And then somebody else popped up, I think it was the Tinkermen on FPL, said, he's had a 2-week break during the internationals because he wasn't picked for Egypt. So he's kind of had his break. So, maybe, Salah is, if we haven't said it enough already, he is the key player to have at Liverpool.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
He's banging form, scoring goals, etc., etc.
And whilst I'm being flippant about your game against Stoke, because your defence is what it is away from home, there's absolutely the opportunity for Salah to run riot against Stoke. In terms of
potentially,
in terms of point score, I don't necessarily mean in terms of getting 3 or 4 goals, but he could easily get a goal, an assist, and bonus points.
Well, what's great, I think, going into that game is that Mane and Firmino were rested against Chelsea, so they're going, if you like, inverted commas, fresh or fresher into that game than some of the Stoke players are going to go in. I noticed that Mane was having a little bit of a whinge at Klopp at the end of the game, and I think that's because Klopp brought him on with only a couple of minutes to go, and it.
Didn't you really give him a chance to make a difference?
I think that was it, yeah.
Right.
And if I'm as a fan, I actually like to see that. I like to see that Mane wants to play,
Passionate,
right? Absolutely, right. So I'm going into the Stoke game thinking, well, Salah is fit and firing on form. He's had his 2-week rest during the international, so he's going to be right side. Okay. Mane and Firmino are going to be in there. I actually see Ox being dropped. That's why I can't believe you're going to stick him on the radar because I think he's going to drop him. And actually, defensively, let's see. Stoke. They're going to, it's the old Stoke thing, right? I know they play a bit more football nowadays, but if that was me, I'd be playing crouch. Just stick Crouchy on and lob it in the box and just see what happens, because our defence is suspect.
I don't think he'll play Crouch the whole game, but I would expect to see Crouch at like 60 minutes.
Yeah,
that's normally what they do, isn't it, Stoke?
Yeah, I mean, if I was a Stoke manager, I think I would be not looking to play too much football around us. I would be looking to just lump it into the Choupo-Motings and
shut out Salah, shut out.
Yeah, easier said than done,
passing.
By the way.
100%, but can be done.
So for me, I think I'd back us going into that game simply because our front three are going to be back and fit and fresh and firing, and you just can't ignore Salah right now. He's great.
Okay, so in terms of Chelsea, then obviously Hazard with an assist and 3 bonus points.
Which is the jammiest thing ever, by the way. I mean, the goal was fluky enough. Never mind this, it was just passed it to him. So that's an assist. I guess officially it is an assist. On the back of that, he gets 3 bonus points. But listen.
But Hazard, we've talked for weeks. Hazard is a great fantasy asset.
You can't sit here and say that he didn't deserve his 9 points because he is a phenomenal player. He glides about. He's another one of these that I really love watching. And on that basis, I think I'll be looking to get him in this week.
And absolutely, I think. I mean, what are you? So Fabregas, what do you make of Fabregas as a fantasy asset?
So he didn't start him, did he?
No.
And they lacked a bit of dynamism, if that's the right word, in the middle of the park. And And again, another player I like watching, Kante. Oh, the guy's just such a nuisance to play. He's such a nuisance because he just wins everything. He's unbelievable. And Bakayoko, I actually didn't think he had a great game, Bakayoko. But if you put them two guys in there, you've got, a lot of combative, ball winning tacklers in there, if you like, but no one really pulling the strings and creating the passes. And because of that, I think it actually affected Morata's game. So bear with me on this one a bit. So I think you've got Kante and you've got Bakayoko in there. They're going to break everything up. They're going to win the ball. They're going to get Chelsea possession. But they're not going to be looking to play that clever ball in behind. And because of that, I thought Morata actually checked his runs a couple of times and maybe didn't look quite as dynamic. As soon as Fabregas come on that pitch, Morata's eyes were like, right,
I've got someone
now that understands my game and understands my wavelength. And all of a sudden, even with Fabregas' first pass, within 30 seconds of coming on, he got it in behind, and Joe Gomez actually did a really good tackle and put it out for a corner. But, Morata was in.
Okay.
So I think because of that, I think he's got to play Fabregas in these upcoming games, this upcoming batch of games that we've spoken about.
But do you think Fabregas is so obviously significantly cheaper than Hazard? Is he a viable alternative as Chelsea midfield coverage?
For me, not an alternative. I think as a complement to Hazard, if you want to get both, I've got no problem with that. I just think Hazard is...
Okay, so say you've got Morata. You can't afford Hazard. Is Fabregas a good fantasy asset? Because for me, like you say, the assist opportunities are there.
So for me, over this batch of fixtures that we've spoken about, Hazard is the one to own. And I know Morata looks very, very good, and there's absolutely a case for having him as well. Hazard is the one to own. He's on pens. He's the main man. Conte came out after the game and said some words to the effect of, I'll find it and stick it on the left-hand side as a tweet, words to the effect of, now that he's playing up as our second striker with Morata. So he sees him as a striker now, right? So I don't think Fabregas covers the Hazard points. Do I think he'll keep your points ticking over this run? Yeah, potentially.
Okay. Because the reason I'm asking this question is that Chelsea are playing Swansea next. Now, sorry, Swansea fans, but you've got no hope going to Stamford Bridge, surely. They look...
I don't know about no hope, but I do see Chelsea winning.
By a substantial margin, I would think.
Let's see. I think so, because Chelsea look to be on form.
Correct.
The main man is back. I would expect them... It's a bit like the Mourinho thing, isn't it? Are you going to get the part the bus team, or are you going to get the let the horses run free team? With Chelsea, it's like, well, if they go away to Anfield, you put Kante and Bakayoko in there and you just break it up and you make it hard for us. And then if you want to win the game or you're 1-0 down, you bring Fabregas on, which is what happened and they scored. If you're going up against Swansea at home, I think you start with Fabregas because you're going after the win, aren't you? You're going to want to win that.
Yeah.
And if you look at Chelsea's fixtures over the next umpteen weeks, however many it is, it's a lot of those games. So I foresee a lot of starts for Fabregas. I think it makes Bakayoko less of an option because Fabregas is going to play instead of Bakayoko. Maybe. We've seen them play together. I don't know.
So for me, in terms of the radar then, I think obviously there's the two big hitters. There's Fabregas and Morata, who clearly have to be on the radar because you're just mad if you don't. But I also think that Fabregas is a viable option as a midfield because he's that much cheaper, so he fits in
definitely
better
radar material. Definitely
fits in better with the likes of Pogba and co.
5% owned, so a bit of a differential.
But I personally also think that there's some real value in the Chelsea defenders. Now,
100%.
Not in terms
100%.
of... I've got Alonso. I know he's very expensive. But Azpilicueta is...
He's the same price. They're the same now, 6.9.
Are they?
Yeah, both 6.9.
Azpilicueta, I think, is... The way that they've gone this season, I actually think if I was doing it now, I probably would have gone with Azpilicueta over Alonso. Because it seems to me this season that Alonso is... He's always a threat going forward, but it seems to be Azpilicueta that's getting involved in the bonus point system more than Alonso is.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think you can.
Strangely,
I think there's a reason they're the same price because I think they're more or less the same. I think Azpilicueta will keep the odd assist ticking over, but then every 3 or 4 games Alonso can pop up with a goal, right? Well, I know he hasn't, but he can. We've seen that.
So I think going into this busy Christmas period with Chelsea's fixtures as they are, Swansea and then Newcastle, I think. I'd be 100% getting on at least one of Hazard and Morata. And I'd also have a Chelsea defender because I don't see Swansea going to the bridge and scoring, and I don't see Newcastle scoring against them either.
And for those of us that, and I put myself in this bracket, that can't afford an Alonso or an Azpilicueta, because I'm probably not going to get one of those guys, which kills me because I know they're going to get lots of points. What about a Christensen or even a Courtois, right? Because I think those guys are more like 5'5", 5'4". They're a bit more affordable. You could maybe do a Jones to a Christensen. My key concern is that, is he a rotation risk with David Luiz? I mean, clearly that is the risk.
Well, yeah, but he seems to be really out of favour at the moment, Luiz. So, they seem to have had their bit of a lovers' tiff going on down at Chelsea with him. So I think, yes, he is a rotation risk, much more so than Azpilicueta and Alonso are.
See, it seems to be first choice, though.
But he does seem to be first choice now. And so for me,
I think if you get him and he misses 3 games out of that 11 or 12 or 13 game run they've got,
you're probably all right.
Probably all right because he's getting clean sheets the rest of the time. So 5'4", I think he is 100% on the radar.
Yeah, okay.
Without filling it full of Chelsea players.
Yeah, let's put him on there as well.
All right, we talked a lot about Chelsea there, but I think that's kind of key because
so now we're with Swansea.
Where do you want to go after this?
Well, Chelsea are going to play Swansea, so we just said about Swansea. So let's go back to Swansea's game this week. Bournemouth, they played Bournemouth.
Drew 0-0 with Bournemouth. Okay, yeah, go on.
I was surprised at that, actually. I was expecting something from Bournemouth, I think.
I think everyone got a little, my opinion, a little bit carried away with Callum Wilson. I mean, he got the hat-trick. People flocked to him, clearly, because he's a cheap striker. He's back on. He started again, so that's a big tick in the box. So
I didn't, in the end, do the Callum Wilson change. I stuck with Tammy.
But he was a very popular transfer.
He was.
And, he blanked, but I don't think we should be getting off him. I mean, if you look at the Bournemouth fixtures, let's take a look. It's Burnley at home, Southampton at home, Palace away. I mean, that looks good. You then got to go to United and it's Liverpool and it gets a bit more difficult. But for the next 3, there's goals there for Callum Wilson. I think you stick on him.
I think for me, the key thing coming out of Swansea and Bournemouth is I wouldn't be getting any Swansea assets at the moment. I think they need to show up a bit more often in order for them to be going on the radar. Even, obviously, Tammy can't play because Chelsea player.
Next, right?
So he's not playing next week anyway.
You still on him?
No. Oh, I've just given away my transfer.
You've done him out, have you? You've finally spent that money that you've been hoarding away. Tammy to Morata, I can see it happening now. Go on then, let's get through these games because I want to hear about these transfers.
So it's Bournemouth then, I think, that we need to talk about. So I'm obviously on Charlie Daniels.
Happy with that?
Absolutely, absolutely sticking with Charlie Daniels. Fixtures looking okay or good. Charlie Daniels, I'm happy with him. I think he's a great fantasy asset. I always have, really. Having said that, I think their fixture coming up against Burnley is a real tough one to call because both teams really defensively good at the moment.
That's what we've done there. Just moved seamlessly into. This is working quite well. This actually, I think I'm quite impressed. We're
actually not too badly timed at the moment. Bear in mind we're doing both.
Given that we thought this was going to be an all-nighter, pretty much.
I seriously considered, because I'm so annoyed at Foster lately. I seriously considered doubling up with Bournemouth defenders and going to Begovic.
Okay.
Because about the same price, where Foster's dropped by 0.1.
Surely you fancy like a Nick Pope over...
Well, so this was where I was like, okay, well, there's Nick Pope, isn't there, at Burnley? And then I was thinking, well, who do I see winning that game? Because I could actually see that game being 0-0.
Burnley against...
Bournemouth.
Because
I've got Burnley defenders, I've got Bournemouth defenders. Do I play? And then I thought, who do I play? I'm actually thinking about playing them both because I could see them playing out a 0-0 draw.
Could be. And
they're good defensively.
Let's talk about that Burnley game today. I mean, again, it seems incredibly unlucky. We were listening to it a bit on the radio, weren't we, when we were out and about today.
It sounded like Bournemouth had the game of their lives and Arsenal nicked it with a...
Burnley.
Burnley. Yeah. And Arsenal nicked it with what sounded like a bit of a dubious penalty. We haven't seen it, so we don't know.
I haven't seen it. Burnley, again, looked resolute or sounded resolute on the radio. It sounded like they're the better of the game, right? The halftime analysis on 5 Alive was actually they were the better side and a bit unlucky not to be ahead. And actually, they seem to be the ones going for it. So Chris Wood, their New Zealand guy, came on with not too long to go. I think sort of 25, 30 minutes ago. So clearly, that's Dyche going for it. And in the end, got hit by a sucker punch right at the death when Ramsey, I think got, maybe balked in the air or something, I don't know. And like you say, it sounded dubious. I don't know, we've not seen it. It sounded dubious. And then, of course, Mr. Sanchez scores from the spot. So, Arsenal a bit lucky to get those points, but that's what you need. If you're Arsenal, that's what you need. And a quick shout out again, another, and this is going largely unspotted, I think, by the FPL community, certainly you and I. Arsenal clean sheet again.
Right, so
very hard to score past them at the minute.
So this is what I'm kind of in two minds about this, because part of me wants to put Kolasinac, Ramsey, Sanchez and Mustafi on the radar for Arsenal this week.
No space.
However,
no space. It's too many Chelsea.
However, I'm really dubious, because Sanchez and Ramsey, potentially they're only going on the radar because of a last minute penalty decision.
I wouldn't put them on
blah
there.
blah blah.
Mustafi, I think is great.
I think should be on the radar this week, and Kolasinac potentially should be on the radar.
Who got the bonus points in that game?
So the I can tell you, I've written them down. Sanchez got 3, Kolasinac Koscielny got 2, and Mustafi got 1. So I think
Sanchez 3
because he got a penalty in the last minute.
It's just lucky, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lucky. So I think
Mustafi bonus point, right? Yeah.
Mustafi on the radar for Arsenal this week. I think Arsenal were lucky. I think Burnley were a bit unlucky. But then, having said that, kudos to Arsenal for fighting on till the last minute and winning the penalty in the way that they did,
Yeah, and let's have a look at the Arsenal fixtures. Huddersfield at home, United at home, but then Southampton, West Ham, Newcastle. So again, this is another team that we keep talking about Chelsea, we keep talking about who you've got from Man City, we keep talking about, you're getting Liverpool assets in because of their run.
Spurs,
Arsenal just floating around, just going about their business without looking too convincing against Burnley. Having said that, not many teams scoring past Burnley this year, so they've gone to Turf Moor and got something. So fair play to them. Am I buzzing to get Sanchez in? Not at that price. I'd much rather be having a Hazard.
But then you could get Mustafi, who's I
quite fancy a Jones to a Mustafi right now. I don't know about Ramsey. I want to see a bit more from him.
But I think Mustafi is a viable option.
I think Mustafi absolutely should be on the radar. Yeah.
Okay, we've covered them all.
No way. Have we? Within 51 minutes?
We've done it.
Goodness me.
We've done 2 game weeks in 51 minutes.
Goodness me.
Didn't even need your popcorn, really.
Well, go on then. Let's have a talk about transfers then, because I want to hear what you're doing for next game week, because you've already done it, right?
Yeah, I've done 2.
You've done 2? Spent points?
No, I had 2 free transfers.
2 in the bank. All right, go on then.
So I ummed and ahed last night about Firmino. Because Firmino didn't play this game week, I kind of went back and forth and back and forth.
What have you done?
What I've ended up doing, I've decided that I'm keeping Firmino. Why not? He's a differential for me. I think Liverpool's fixtures are good. So I have changed.
I like that's ballsy, because a lot of people get in off him or got off him a long time ago. So fair enough.
So having spent the last 13 weeks saying, play 2 strikers, I've got 3 now.
Woof. So you're going. So I'm going 3-5-2 because I think all the values in midfield going forward. You're going the opposite. Oh, I've just figured out who you've got in midfield. If you're going Rueben Loftus-Cheek, I'm going to be well upset.
So I've done Tammy Abraham to Morata.
Yeah.
And Robbie Brady to Loftus-Cheek.
Copying my team even more.
Excuse me. I still have a little bit of money in the bank.
Of course, absolutely. Wouldn't be a Sam fancy FPL team without a bit of money in the bank.
It's not very much now, but I have still got a little bit of money in the weekend and in the bank rather. And
what's in the bank now?
About £500,000. And I'm looking for Firmino to do something in game week 14. If I don't see anything from Firmino in game week 14, then I will be downgrading him potentially to Callum Wilson, and I'll be upgrading in my midfield for Hazard.
So you're already thinking 2 or 3 weeks ahead. This is very good planning. I'm impressed.
Come on then, let's hear what you've done.
So I've done my 2 transfers. It pains me to see Christian, and I've just done this, by the way, literally just done it. It pains me to see Christian Eriksen go because I like him.
Good fixtures
quality player. Good fixtures coming up, but 5 blanks in a row. Okay. I've given him enough time in my team, and I feel like I've got Spurs covered with Kane, right? So he's gone. Hazard is in. Very, very pleased to have Eden Hazard in my team. Looked great at the weekend. And, I'm swapping out one player that I like watching for another. So I'm very, very happy to have Hazard.
So what if you downgraded somebody then, if you've upgraded Hazard?
Yeah, and I've taken $1 million out of Lukaku. So Lukaku is gone. He was my only surviving player from game week 1. Kept it ticking over. United's fixtures look tough, actually, for the next 3. And we sat here on the last vlog and said, which Jose team are we going to get for the next 3 for for Watford away, and then Arsenal, Man City. In my opinion, there's not enough goals in there for Lukaku.
I think it's the right decision.
So I've got rid of him. He may well come back. Game week 17, United have then got Bournemouth at home and West Brom away.
I'm trying to work out how
he
much
may well
money
be
that
back.
gives you. Go on.
Gives me an extra. So I've got Morata. So I've gone Hazard and Morata.
Chelsea.
I've doubled Chelsea on the basis that I didn't want to go. I haven't got enough for an Azpilicueta or an Alonso. So I've still got my three. I've still got. And the reason I've just done it was because I was waiting to see what Jesus was going to do. Jesus was benched. So at the beginning I was like, I was like, right, he's gone.
Yeah.
But then I'm thinking, well, if he's benched, he's going to play. And I want him against Southampton.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that he's going to play. I've got Morata, Jesus. So I'm with you still. I'm still on my three big ones up front. But my plan for the following game week is potentially Jesus down to, I hate to say it, but a Callum Wilson. But I'm also looking at Nias. And then I'll be...
Because he'll be back by then, of course.
Because he'll be back by then. And if I do a Nias, that enables me to do a Tom Carroll to Sané, which I would really like. And then I've got a nice midfield of Hazard, Sané, Salah, Richarlison and Ruben Loftus-Cheek, which is where I would want to be.
All right.
That's my thinking.
Okay, let's have a top points pick from you.
Top points pick for game week 14. I think I've got to back the Chelsea boys and I've got to go my man Hazard. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to be captaining him, so I'm going to go Hazard.
And you're captaining Hazard?
I'm going to captain Hazard because he's a bit of a differential.
Captain Hazard. I'll be captaining Kane.
Of course you will.
Probably.
Who are you playing?
I don't know. I think I always...
Leicester away.
I mean, I always captain Kane.
Isn't it?
But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we looked at the statistics for that game last year. We ran riot. Got 24 points. I think I'll be captaining Kane, but I have got Morata, so maybe I should be sensible and captain Morata against Swansea. But well, let's see. It'll either be Kane or Morata. I'll decide later. Now, jammy picks for this week. There were 4 that I considered this week.
4 jammy picks?
I had 4 considerations.
If Rondon's not one of them, I'm very upset.
The first one was Anthony Knocker at Brighton.
Okay, yeah, all right.
The second one I considered, mostly just to annoy you, was Joe Allen from Stoke.
Joe Allen, I love the little Welsh wizard, yeah?
Yeah, well, because I thought, playing against his whole team, maybe.
It's the Welsh Pirlo, isn't it? What was it Brendan Rodgers called him?
So I thought about Joe Allen for a little while. Yeah. Obviously.
Against us?
Yeah. Just
behave yourself. I think that was a jammy pick.
I also considered Rondon, of course.
Have to.
In the end,
now that he's the best Venezuelan in the country.
In the end, I've settled for my lowest percentage owned jammy pick to date.
Hold on, I've got to have a think about this.
Owned by 0.3% of the game.
You Lanzini again?
No, I'm going with Andy Carroll this week.
Andy Carroll.
Everton are dire. Andy Carroll, fed by Lanzini.
Everton are bad.
Lanzini to Carroll.
So you've gone for another West Ham player.
Okay. Sticking with West Ham this week.
Okay, I can't.
Andy Carroll it is.
Very hard to say against that. The only thing you might temper that with is if Everton get their fingers out their backsides and hire a manager before that game.
They're not going to do that by Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. It's unlikely. I forgot that, so it's not a week, is it?
They might do it by Saturday, but they're not going to get a manager before Wednesday. I doubt they've got no one lined up, so nobody's going to sign by Wednesday. I doubt.
They do look bad. Andy Carroll.
So Andy Carroll it is for jammy pick.
Nice jammy pick. All right, cool.
Okay. Look, we've not even made it into an hour.
57 minutes. That's probably the longest we've done, but we've covered the game week we've just done, and we've covered the game week coming up. So well done. Excellent. Brilliant. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, guys. As usual, keep following us on Twitter at FPLFamily and on Instagram at FPLFamily. Leave your comments below. Let us know how you got on in Game Week 13. And we want to hear what you're doing for Game Week 14. So who are you bringing in? Who's your jammy pick? I like Andy Carroll. If you guys have got better jammy picks than Andy Carroll, I'll be well impressed.
We'll be back on Wednesday night with a review of Game Week 14 and a preview of Game Week 15.
We've got to do another massive one.
We have.
Flipping it. Right, tune in for that. Cheers, guys. Good night.
Thanks, guys. Bye.